Hi, everybody. My name is Todd Cohen. Welcome back to my YouTube Sales Culture channel. If you're returning, thank you. If this is your first visit, buckle in because there is a ton of great information on here all about how you are in sales every day. Now, I'm not talking about sales training. Well, you're just going to have to check out all the videos to see what I really truly mean about how to get what you want, need, and deserve. And all of my videos show you exactly how to develop a sales mindset. Now, today, I want to talk about something, a word which candidly strikes fear in the hearts of people, and that word is networking. You know, when I say to people, are you a good networker? Do you go out and network? How do you network? The first thing people say is, I either hate networking, I hate small talk, and I hate going to events. Did I say three things? Well, it's three things. There's been more, but those are the three that come to mind right now. Now, look, I understand that people have a thing about this word networking. They think it means we, you, and at times I thought it meant having to stop doing what you're doing and go to an event where you had to make small talk. Perhaps you're uncomfortable. You grabbed a drink and you hoped and you prayed that that drink would outlast the time you have to be there, or you at least would last as long as that drink lasts. Look, I get it. The idea of networking for a lot of people is anxiety producing. Look, and I love networking, and there are times I don't want to go to an event either. So 18 years ago, when I lost my job and I started the career that I'm in now, which is as a public speaker and I do my training workshops, I had to rebuild my network. And what I realized is the first most important rule of networking, and folks, I need you to write this one down because I'm about to give you 7 or 8 tips on networking, and none of them matter if you can't keep this one in mind. Are you ready? You still with me? Good. Networking is venue independent. In other words, anywhere you have an opportunity to build a relationship is networking. Networking is not about the place, it's about a mindset. Networking and a networking mindset means one thing, and candidly, one thing only. And I need you to remember this. Networking is about building a relationship, a sustainable relationship that is a give and take. In other words, it's not just you taking or them taking from you. It is no different than any other relationship you've built in your professional, and I'll be candid, your personal life as well. So look, networking is not about the venue. If going to big giant events and being really, really uncomfortable isn't your jam, then find other ways to do it. I network by meals, breaking bread, breakfast, lunch, dinners, coffees. I mean, yes, I go to plenty of big events, and I acknowledge that that isn't for everybody, and that's okay. Look, and sometimes you will have to do those things. But what I need you to really, really glom onto is that networking isn't about the event, it's about your mindset. And that mindset is one thing and one thing only. I am here to build a relationship. That's it. So on that note, let me give you some tips on networking. Now, look, all of these may feel like common sense, and that's good, and we all need a refresher from time to time. So, number one, when you're networking, wherever it is, don't just attend something, approach it. Look, do your homework. Who's going to be there? Who would you like to meet? What can you offer in return of value? And what you have to offer is amazing. Wherever you are, whatever you do, remember something. You are a compelling person. You have interests, and people, believe it or not, want to learn more about you just as you want to learn about other people. Tip number two when it comes to networking, lead with curiosity. Curiosity is like a superpower of developing relationships. Curiosity, helps people drop their defenses because everybody goes into a networking situation and we kind of get our backs up a little bit. It's like, what do they want? What do they want from me? The reality of it is, what I want from you is simply the opportunity to get to know you. And I'm going to do that by being curious. And curiosity begins with open-ended questions. Curiosity, is What brings you here tonight? Tell me about what you do. Tell me about why it excites you. Tell me about the competition in your industry. Tell me what's going on in your world right now. I got to tell you, the thing I've learned over the years, and you know what I'm about to say is absolutely true. People love to talk about themselves. In fact, I always warn people, if you ever have a lot of time and you want to be really curious, you only have to ask me one question. Hey, Todd, how did you get started in the speaking business? You better have a lot of time and just, I don't know, I don't want to put you to sleep, but show me curiosity. I will show you the way to build a relationship with me. Lead with curiosity. That's the second tip. Number three, look, nail your introduction. The number one most asked business question in the world is, so what do you do? And what do? We answer that question with where we work or where we went to school or how long we've been there or with a title. And you know what? Nobody cares. Sorry, tough love. Nobody cares. I can tell you where I went to school, Temple University. Do you really care? No, because I graduated like a million years ago. It's changed. Nobody cares. When somebody asks you what you do, I want you to think about, it's called your value proposition. And I want you to think about answering that question in a way that is compelling, it grabs somebody's attention, and it forces them to say, tell me more. In other words, your value proposition, your what do you do and how you answer that has to be what I call independent or agnostic. And simply what that means is this: it can't be immediately understood what you do. So, in other words, when people say to me, hey, Todd, what do you do? I say, well, everyone's in sales. And people might think, are you a salesman? Well, we all are. Do you do sales training? Not really. What do you do? In other words, it promotes the question, tell me more, at which point then I might say, hey, I'm a speaker and I believe in building a sales culture, or I may talk about and I may say, listen, I'm an avid believer that we're all in sales, and my job is to dispel the myths and the sales stereotypes that hold us back. You see, that always drives more conversation. Even if it's quote unquote not in my wheelhouse, it doesn't matter. Building that relationship is prime time number one goal of networking. Don't ever forget that I told you that. The fourth tip on networking: listen, listen, listen. Stephen Covey once famously said, people listen with the intent to reply, not with the intent to understand. Listen, be curious, and ask more questions. They will learn to trust you. And the next time you see them, that networking at that event or with that person or in this organization becomes just a little bit easier. Active listening is a lost art. That is my belief. Just people's ability to be able to listen, because we're all so distracted constantly. Listening is a superpower, and paired with curiosity, the tip I just shared with you, holy mackerel, watch out. The dam is going to break. You are going to be the relationship guru of this century. Well, all right, maybe I'm overplaying it a little bit. Building a relationship isn't that hard. All right. Number five, bring value early. In other words, as I like to say, connect people before they ask you to connect them. In other words, as you're listening, remember what I said a moment ago, as you're actually listening, you should be thinking about, wow, I understand what this person does. Wow, you know what? There's somebody I need this person to meet, or that person, or I want to connect these two people. You see, when you connect two people, when you give like that, before you're even asked to give, now you become memorable. You become the relationship expert above all the noise out there. In other words, most people go to networking events and they're thinking, what can I get from this? What can I get from this? And they think, wow, I'm disappointed if I didn't get something. That's a failure in motion of networking, and it's a failure in motion of trust. Networking is about giving first and then worrying maybe down the road what might come back to you. The thing about networking, and this is still under the fifth tip now, I'm giving you a bonus. Networking is like a boomerang. The more you do, the more you give, the more you put out there, it comes back to you exponentially. Networking is not about the venue. It is about listening. It is about being curious. It is about building a relationship. And it's about connecting people before they even ask you to connect. Because when you say, hey, I got somebody you should meet, the first reaction is, wow, this person was really listening and he understands what I do. I got to tell you, that is money in the bank. The sixth tip of networking is make sure you follow up like a pro. I always say follow through and follow up, not to forget you. So here's the rule of thumb. If you say you're going to do something, you have 24 hours to do it. Why? Because we're going to forget if it goes any longer. And then you're going to run into that person again, or they're going to hear from you, or you're going to hear from them. And they're going to say, hey, you said you were going to do X, Y, and Z. And now you look like somebody who isn't interested in building a relationship, just interested in taking. Follow up, follow up, follow up is critical. 24 hours. And remember, offer something of value. Even if it's not making a connection, how about really enjoyed talking with you? I want to learn more about what you do. Let's touch base in 6 months. The more you network, the more you sell yourself. And the more you sell yourself, every door opens. I guarantee it. Finally, the seventh tip of networking, and I'm going to give you an eighth one just as a double bonus. The seventh tip of networking is stay in the loop, but don't be a nuisance about it. In other words, every so often, if you see an article, if you see something that makes you think of that person or they would find interesting, drop a note and just say, hey, thought of you, thought you would find this interesting. Hope all is well. All the best, Todd. I mean, don't sign my name unless you want to give me credit. That being said, follow up. Remember, stay on their windshield, as I say, but don't be a nuisance about it. There is no rule of thumb. I should follow up in this time or that time. I get this question all the time. You're a smart person, you're educated, you're intelligent, and you do know how to build a relationship. What do you think feels right? Now, look, you can't wait too long. It's not like you can email somebody a year later and say, hey, how you doing? It's been a couple of months. No, it's been a couple of years. Down the road, I'll do something on what I call relationship portability, and we'll address it's been a long time. What do we do? But let me just give you a hint. If you do reach out to somebody and it's been a long time, be vulnerable. Fall on your sword and say, it's on me. It's my fault. I let this relationship wither. I hope we can make amends. That builds trust. That is authentic. It doesn't build authenticity. It demonstrates authenticity. And finally, I got to tell you, when I learned to network again, which is how I built my business, I didn't build it by doing a lot of ads or running billboards. I did it through networking. I did it because I connected other people before they needed me to connect. I learned this 18, 20 years ago. It still keeps me busy today. So here's the eighth tip. Is it the most important? Well, they're all important. They're all critical. You can't do one without the other. You can't pick and choose. Here's the tip. Drum roll, please. All right, I have no drums in my office. Play the long game. What I'm saying is networking, relationship building is lifelong. You can't say, I'm networking, networking, networking. Okay, I got what I want. I can stop networking. Because you know what? What goes up comes down. What goes down comes back up. And when you're in a down cycle and you need your network again, they're going to look at you like, nope, sorry. You proved that you're not authentic. You disappeared on me, on us, on our company, on our organization when you got what you needed. All you've done is prove that you're insincere. Networking is a long-term game. You've got to play the long game. It never ends. Networking is lifelong. Have I made the point on this? Networking never, ever stops. Today, when I'm done doing these videos, I'm heading out to have lunch with a client that I haven't worked with in a couple of years. It doesn't matter. He's close by. We're going to have lunch. I want to find out what's going on in the industry and how he and I can bring value to each other's jobs and our careers and our organizations. I mean, I'm an organization of 1.5. It's me and Luna, the Sheba, and he's an organization of about 40. Look, Never stop networking. And here's what I want to remind you where I started. Networking is venue independent. You don't always have to be going out to things. Networking is the next conversation, the next Zoom call. Anytime you're interacting with another human being, you are in the exquisite position to build a relationship. And that's a choice. It's a choice to bring a networking mindset, a sales mindset into that interaction. And you know what's going to happen? Great things. I'm Todd Cohen. Never, ever stop networking. Networking is lifelong. Be curious, be a great listener, and remember this, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. Stop being afraid of the word. Start getting in the game and building the relationships that will propel you and your career forward. Take care. Okay, now where's the off button?